We're live! Welcome, everybody, to another fantastic episode of Gamersledge Podcast. This is Gamersledge Podcast, episode 257. My name is Matt. I am one of your hosts. With me tonight is Dave.
Hello.
And Kate.
Hello.
And a less frequent guest that we have here, we have Mitchell along with us this evening.
Howdy.
Who's all old now?
Yeah. He's all old and college bound and stuff, you know.
What are you talking? That's still not old.
Well, the way his joints were cracking tonight as he got up to go to where he is to podcast tonight, you'd think he was. Kid's joints crack more than mine. So this is a Gamersledge Podcast, a weekly podcast where we talk about video games, geekery, all that stuff that Dave doesn't really actually do but pretends to do.
That's not true. I played a game this week.
You did? All right.
Believe it or not.
Good. Well, we'll get to that in a sec. Yeah, we normally have all the fancy videos and stuff, but that's all kind of Mark's domain, and he's not here tonight, so you get the what would you call this? The
fireside chat version.
Fireside chat version, or the unplugged version, perhaps.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that. Yeah.
That's why I should have named the episode. I should have named it
Gamersledge Unplugged.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of the on
MTV Unplugged
on Amazon. You know, I just call out play alternative music from 1995, and it plays a lot of the MTV Unplugged albums.
Yeah.
From the grunge era. So it's just like
nice, very nice.
Nice.
All right, so we will go ahead and we'll get this thing started. As is oft what we do, we'll go ahead and start with what we've been up to over the last week. And as the relative newcomer, Mitchell, why don't you go first?
All right. Well, overall, I've got a fairly extensive list, I think. So this past week, I got Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia, so I've been playing that a lot. Got to the 3rd chapter now already, so
this is part of the Fire Emblem series. It's on the 3DS, but it's pretty different from the previous Fire Emblems, isn't it?
Yeah, from what I've played. I've only played the Birthright, Conquest line, and Awakening. But yeah, it's fairly different. There's still sort of 2 stories, but they're sort of crossed in their own way. And you actually play as 2 armies traveling down each of their own paths to solve the same war. So that's pretty interesting.
There's also sections that have very different gameplay styles, though, too, aren't there? There's
right.
Kind of 3D action-y parts to it.
Right, so that's one of the interesting things. So there's what they call the dungeons, which tend to have shrines so that you could upgrade your units and stuff. But also in there you can find treasure chests, which tend to hold equipment for your units and stuff. And there's also the combat in there is also interesting because, as you know, it's an SRPG. But you are running around as like a 3D sprite model, and then the enemies are also walking around in there. So you can attack while out in your 3D model. So if you actually hit them, you sort of get like a preemptive strike bonus to your combat too. It actually lowers the enemy's health at the start of the battle, and your units start closer to them than if they had hit you, or if neither had hit each other and you just bumped into each other.
Are they avoidable, or do you have to?
Yeah, you can avoid them because there is a sprint mechanic, so you can sprint away from them if you need to. And also another interesting part that is there's also what's called fatigue. So after so many battles, certain characters will start to feel worn down, and then that actually lowers their stats and health, their max health, making them less effective in battle.
Sounds like a fairly significant evolution. Is this considered a main game in it, or is this considered a side game? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure it's a main game, but if I'm remembering from what I've heard correctly, it's actually a remake sort of an older game that was only released in Japan called Fire Emblem Gaiden. If anyone in the comments or who's watching wants to correct me on this, feel free to do so. But if I'm remembering correctly, that's what it is.
Yeah, I only started on the Game Boy Advance ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they were always pretty fun until you got to that point where you lost one of your guys that you were building up for like,
Yeah,
6
that's
weeks.
why I as far as Fire Emblem players go, I'm a newbie. I'm a wimp. I play on casual. I don't play permadeath.
Oh, they have a casual mode on it?
Yeah, they have a casual mode, so you can focus more on the story. You don't have to worry about your units.
I'm back in.
He's back in. Sounds like the Hellblade discussion we had the other day. I'm out. I'm in. I'm out. I'm in. I'm out. I'm in.
It's just I'm older. I don't have the time to invest that much.
Yeah, they started that with Awakening, right? That was the
That was one of the big changes along with the relationships things. They still have another thing about this one is they still have the support conversations added in, but there's no actually like relationship type stuff.
Oh, there's no army breeding in this one.
Yeah, there's no army breeding in this one. You can't get your ultimate soldiers, but they can give stat boost depending on their friendship levels that they have. But also, you can only do the support conversations in battle.
Okay.
So after they hit the certain, after reach the level, you actually have to get the two units next to each other and have them do a conversation in the middle of the combat.
Well, they're having the conversations. They have arrows flying past their heads and stuff.
No, they're just sort of talking, but then sometimes like they'll say one of my favorite support conversations between one of the characters named Python and another one called Forsyth. In order to get away from the conversation, Python's literally like, "Oh, there's an enemies I've got to go kill. Ta-ta!"
Oh dear.
And goes running off to go kill enemies.
All right. Well, sounds like you're enjoying that. So
It is
you mentioned something like you might be interested in writing something up once you're done with the game. So
yeah, I want to. I'm thinking about it. It's something I'm bobbling about. So first item of the list down that started an entire conversation.
Yeah, so let's breeze through the next few.
Yeah, so playing some Smite, been trying to get used to the new god that they had. Been playing some Pokemon Uranium. That's been out for a while though, but it's like a fan game that was released that got shut down by Nintendo, I'm pretty sure. But got it before that happened, so yay on me. Been playing some of the new Doom. Pretty fun so far. Tried out the Lawbreakers beta too, which was pretty fun. Although I don't do much other than play Guardians because Zero Gravity is wonky. And they play the most normally out of all the classes. I've been and then last for consoles is Overwatch. I just did it a little bit recently to try out a new Doomfist character. And then for phones, I've been playing Fire Emblem.
How did you find Doomfist to be?
He can deal a lot of damage. Like if you can hit with him, like with his L2, which seems to be like his alternate fire, where he just sort of like does like a dashing punch at full charge. If you can hit someone with that, and they're not one of the tank characters, you'll pretty much get a one-hit kill. But otherwise, he's really squishy. But most of the attack characters are, since he's within that class. Most of the people in that class are really squishy. And I mean, no one in Overwatch besides Reinhardt is like super bulky or Roadhog. Roadhog and like Reinhardt are the two like super bulky ones. But beyond that, no one is really super tanky.
Most people, like, it's a game where most people are squishy. Like, being a tank is important.
Yeah.
When we were playing that, having the Reinhardt there was crucial.
Yeah. But yeah, overall he's pretty squishy, but if you can play him well, he can deal a lot of damage. He seems like a good like ambush setup character. So like you wait for the enemies to pass by you, come up from behind and hit them with that dash punch, and then just then do your uppercut and then do your slam down attack to get away. So sort of like a hit and run tactics you'd have to do.
He does seem kind of guerrilla warfare-ish with his personality, but
hmm
so what else? You were on to mobile.
Right. Then on mobile, I've just been mostly doing Fire Emblem Heroes, and I know I'm probably still the only person on this planet playing this game, but FFRK still. I do a couple logins just to get the mithril and some of the gear and stuff.
I think even Kate finally gave up on that, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I was thinking about it the other day, though. I was like, nah.
It's sort of gotten a little diluted, but it was nice to get the Final Fantasy Type Zero characters. I mean, the characters were like one of the few good parts of that game.
Oh, that game. Oh, we're not going to get down that rabbit hole.
I think I left before even like Noct and all them were available.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
I don't even know if I don't think I have Noct. Then Fire Emblem Heroes, I mentioned, is pretty much the Fire Emblem version of FFRK. You pull characters instead of gear, and then you just go through its own story. It's actually got its own story built in, though you don't go, but you go through various Fire Emblem worlds fighting other Fire Emblem characters, but it goes through its own story. Which is sort of interesting, so it's sort of fun. Although the draw mechanic, just like any other draw mechanic, just seems to hate me, but besides the point.
There's the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius mobile game where you like pull characters like that.
Right.
Yeah. Seems pretty similar to that thread. Have you been watching anything?
I watched some Escapist 2 the other day. It seemed pretty interesting. From what it sounded like, it seemed fairly faithful to the original one, but a lot of other things had changed too. Some of the mechanics and some of the graphical stuff sounds like it had changed too, but I don't know too much about the original Escapist, so.
Cool. And then just constantly watching remixes of Markiplier playing Crash Bandicoot, making all kinds of weird noises, because every time I look over there and there's some weird noise coming out of your computer, it's a Markiplier remix of him playing Crash Bandicoot.
No, not all remixes. Sometimes it's just him playing and making lots of weird noises.
Fair enough.
He's a very ragey person at times, depending on the game.
Oh dear. All right. Well, Kate, what have you been up to?
Let's see. I have been playing Final Fantasy 12.
How's that going?
Good. I'm almost to the Empire now. About level. My A party is like level 50-ish.
Oh, wow.
Almost. So I'm getting there. What else have I been playing? Not much, to be honest. I know I did something else. Oh, Game of Thrones. I watched that this week, of course. I actually watched it a few times because I watched the leak episode, and then it was like bad quality, so I was like, it was a good enough episode that I was like, I'm gonna watch it again. So I did.
I've resisted watching the leaked versions of the Infinity War trailer just because I refuse to watch it in crappy handheld phone video of screen.
That's what I said at first. It wasn't like the leak wasn't a handheld one, but it was like had a timestamp and stuff. It was lower quality.
It was like a rough cut or something.
Yeah, it was, but it was still the full episode. So I was weak and watched it.
Still in season 6.
This season's real good so far.
Yeah.
I watched all of Yuri on Ice this week. I love that anime. I'm in love with that anime. It's so cute. I watched it all in one day.
Wow.
Going out on a limb saying he's not a fan.
Well, I haven't seen it, but
you watched the entirety of like No Hero Academia or whatever in like 2 days.
Yeah, but that's good.
Yuri on Ice is really good.
Okay, I'll take your word on it. I don't need to watch a bunch of guys grabbing each other's butts while skating.
More than that.
Okay.
That was pretty reductive.
No, it was really good though. I didn't think I did anything else though. I've been working a lot, so I haven't had time to play a lot of games. I feel like there was something else though. I guess there wasn't. Okay, I'm done.
Dave.
Yes. Game-wise, it's been kind of light. I lost access to the basement, so there's no PS4 or anything like that going on. However,
You
on
weren't
this,
playing that anyway, though.
what's that?
You weren't using your PS4 anyway, though.
That's not the point. The we've actually, I wanted to. There was something I wanted to check out on there. It's so good when it touches the lips. So I was playing Shovel Knight on the Switch, actually. Which, if you're not familiar with Shovel Knight, it's been on pretty much every system. But it is a classic 8-bit style kind of, action platformer game with some added bits that I think came to the Switch first for some add-ons that I've been playing. It's got that very old school mentality. There's some really tough parts to it.
I'm still stuck on the first on the Switch part. That's the only time I think we'll ever hear those words spoken.
What?
First on the Switch.
Oh, yeah, that probably is going to be.
You're not going to hear that very often.
Yeah, there's not going to be too much exclusive that way.
Probably not.
Other
But
than
yeah,
just Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure it's out everywhere now because, it's been out for a while. But when it was released on the Switch, apparently there was a brief timed exclusive for some extra content on it. So it's very fun. It's a great game. It's just like, it's well crafted. It's clearly like the people who developed it loved it. I played it before on the 3DS and everything like that. So I was just kind of going through the new stuff on this and just replaying the other stuff. It's a great one. It's definitely worth a pickup if you've never played it before. But I'm sure anybody that's interested has already played it. And if you haven't, go check it out. It's actually real great, especially if you love old school platformer kind of stuff. Also playing on the 3DS, Bye Bye Box Boy.
You haven't finished that yet?
No, I'm taking my time because I'm savoring it.
No.
I'm getting close to the end, but it's just kind of like, this is it. They're not making another one. The game is called Bye Bye Box Boy. So I have to savor this one. That and it's been really busy, and I've been actually, working late a little bit, so I haven't had too much for that. Watching stuff, Game of Thrones, Rick and Morty, which has been awesome. And the other thing, I watched the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 came out on digital last night. And I actually watched that because, I needed to pick me up, so I watched that.
That wouldn't be my first choice for a pick-me-up, but
That movie's fun. I'm sorry. I know you're crapping on it and everything, but I still really enjoyed it. So the other thing I did was, we've talked about the gamification of stuff before, like, trophies and baubles and all that kind of stuff. I actually picked up a Fitbit because I needed to do something to kind of, change up what I was doing. So my wife said, she goes, "Oh, I got a Fitbit." So I checked it out when she got hers. I was like, "Oh, that's actually kind of nice." And I checked out the features, and it does a lot of stuff. Does a lot of tracking, does like some sleep tracking and stuff like that, where it actually gives you some detailed sleep metrics, which I was very interested in. So basically, it gamifies your health because there's an app that goes with it, and you actually sit there and you track your water consumption, you track your everything you stuff in your face hole, you track in there, which I know other stuff is done. There's plenty of apps that do this kind of stuff, but it's just kind of like all in one nice little package. And it tracks your, caloric in and out, all that kind of stuff. So I started really tracking everything, which is probably something I should have done all along and really made a game out of it. And I'm down 10 pounds already. So gamifying your health actually works.
As long as you actually can keep up with all the inputting and the stuff, then that's where I fall apart at.
See, that's where I actually, I knew that's what I was worried about, and that's why I haven't done this stuff in the past, because I thought I'd get really just overboard with it. And the fact is, I am going overboard with it. But it actually kind of works for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you have something, they make it real easy. Like you can scan barcodes. If you're having like a yogurt, you scan the barcode of the yogurt, bam, it puts it right in there. So it's not even a problem. You have, oh my God, even the chicken I made tonight, I get these like little perfect portion Purdue, chicken things. You scan the label on that, it already has the information. You're just like, oh, I had one chicken breast out of there. So bam, that's it for that. So it works out, really well. They make it really easy.
So I guess I haven't actually logged into the actual app in a long time. Is that all actually in the Fitbit app now, or is that through like MyFitnessPal?
No, it's all in the Fitbit app.
Okay.
So it's all built in that. You can customize it any way you want. Schedule all kinds of different alerts or anything like that. It has, your water consumption where you hit a button, you're just like, bam, I drank another 16 ounces, another bottle of water. Bam, and then you get a little flash and it sits there and says like, you got your water going for the day. Yay.
And for the guy who refuses to play games specifically because they have trophy support, this is the most bizarre conversation I've ever had in my life.
I know. Well, that's the thing. It doesn't. That's why I was afraid to do this. But the thing is, it actually does work. So I had to make some changes. So I'm making some changes, and it's working. So if you like games and you like to gamify everything, check out like a fitness tracker.
Fitbits work.
It does. And it's very slick little hardware too. It actually does everything really well. It's unobtrusive. Battery lasts long.
Which model did you pick up?
The Charge 2.
Charge 2. I'm still working on an old Flex Gen 1.
Yeah, but I mean the thing is they work. I mean there's not too much to it. The one thing I liked about the Charge 2 is it actually tracks stairs.
Yeah, that's my wife's got that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was kind of interesting, and that's kind of cool.
I'm still not sure how it does that, but it does somehow. Which is kind of funny around here too, because if you walk up a hill, sometimes it gives you stairs.
Well, I mean, essentially it's the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
So, but the thing is, it's working. So I mean, that's all that matters. And down 10. So
hey, that's great.
Congrats. Yeah, I mean, we just gotta keep that going and stuff. And I found out tonight that whiskey is apparently 69 calories per fluid ounce.
Wow.
That's upsetting.
You didn't realize alcohol is so high in calories?
I did not.
I did, but it's really weird to actually hear that because I think for 10 ounces, that's 700 calories.
Well, also, you're not doing 10 ounces of whiskey. I mean, I think I did that once, and I bought 2 Euro PS4.
I was there for that.
So that's not a normal amount.
10 was just an easy multiplication.
No, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't.
But I mean, people have done 10 shots of insert hard alcohol here.
Well, I mean, if you don't have without ice, a full, this glass is probably 8 ounces.
Yeah.
Well, because essentially it is a liquid carbohydrate, right?
Yeah, it's sugar. I mean, alcohol is converted sugar.
I mean, I guess if you're going to get all sciencey. But
that's enough of this realism on our gaming show here.
Yeah, but I didn't
Health
realize
tracking and
that kind of sucks.
Not calorie content.
But it makes a game out of it. Like like I'm a little upset today because I'm not going to get my 10,000 steps in. I'm like had a really bad day with that kind of stuff.
And you've got the one that you can't cheat. With this one, you can actually cheat and like bounce your hand.
Yeah, I noticed it definitely does not do that when you do that.
No,
I'm sure people. Well, they probably had to do it because I'm sure people were like
hooking it up to their dogs or something.
Well, no, they were probably tracking like when they were alone with themselves.
Well, I do know the nights I play drums on Rock Band, I get lots of stuff.
Nice. But I would argue that drumming is actually
it's pretty intense. You can work a pretty sweat playing the drums on Rock Band.
I've never seen a drummer like not pouring sweat on stage.
This is true. Not getting quite that into it, but yeah.
It's not. Well, let's not go that far. It is a plastic drum set.
Yeah.
I didn't say.
Some of us that's all we can handle. So anyway, for me, I've got a fairly short list. First item is played a little game called Avon Colony that we have a review up for on the site. Played that, got the review up yesterday, I think. So I'll go ahead and say I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's not bad. For me, a 6 is probably about average. It's got problems, but it's decent. Big thing here is within the confines of the guided game, you will build colonies big enough that will cause the game to routinely crash. So that was the big detractor in the score. It would probably be a 7.75 without that issue. So if they patch that out, if they patch it up and fix that, that'll definitely increase the score. But yeah, go ahead to gamersledge.com and you can read my full thoughts and comments on that. And my phone went ahead and locked on me, so now I gotta reopen it here. Let's see. I tried out the Final Fantasy 15 multiplayer beta. Most boring 15 minutes of my life. Well, not really.
Like, what do you do in the multiplayer? It just doesn't seem like it needed one, so I don't know what you're supposed to do.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and kind of set it up. So you are a member of the revived Kingsglaive. So you create a character. You go through a character creation. It's pretty basic. It's got a fair amount of options, but nothing crazy like Fallout or something like that. But you can go from, you can have your stock standard character, or you can get pretty creative with them. So you're a member of the revived Kingsglaive that is in existence during what I will call the darkness. It's not super specific exactly when it's taking place, but based on the people and stuff you encounter in
the 10 years.
Yeah.
Between when Noct was
right after, I would say right after the encounter with the crystal.
The Game of Thrones, it was in the long night.
The long night, yes, exactly. I would say it's shortly after Noctis encounters the crystal. But Core is leading the revived Kingsglaive. So as a member of the Kingsglaive, you have access to basic magic, warp strike, and the same type of weapons. You have 4 weapons you can hot swap with the D-pad, just like you could as Noctis. So essentially, I said that already, I think. What the game really boils down to, or at least in the demo, is hunts. You're just going on hunts with 3 other people.
So it's almost like, when you do a raid in an MMO. It's kind of like that then.
It's kind of like that, except super short. I don't know how
That's not
deep.
A bad thing.
No, it's not. But I don't know how deep it goes. So you go to Core, you say, I'm ready to go. It puts you into matchmaking and you land in a camp. You do basic prep in the camp. Once everybody readies up, you go into a mission. One of them was hunting waves of, what were those big buffalo things that were in, I can't think of what they're called. But yeah, there you go. Thank you. It was hunting, it was wave after wave after wave of those just came in, and you just kept killing them until you got like a king gorilla or something that came up and finished that off. You can set up a chain warp strike. So if wasn't exactly sure how that was getting initiated, but it seemed like if 2 characters warp striked at the same time, it would set up a chain warp strike, and you could get all the characters to just keep warp striking against a certain enemy, and it would do bonus damage. You have access to a magical attack, but you couldn't configure what it was. It seemed like maybe it was contextual, and it used a magic that was effective against what you were fighting.
It's also a beta though, right?
Yeah, it's also in beta, so that may change. You have a barrier shield, shell that basically that you can cast. Draws on your MP though, so you can only have it for so long. It's really easy to go in stasis. If you start trying to mix it up using the magic and the shell and warp strikes, you can go into stasis pretty easy. And it takes forever to recharge out of stasis. Otherwise, you have your standard. You have different versions of the man, I've forgotten so much of 15 already. The king weapons, the
Royal Arms.
Royal Arms. Thank you. Jeez Louise.
I knew exactly what you meant when you said king weapons.
Yeah, the king weapons, because you go to the dead kings and you get the weapons. So yeah, the Royal Arms, you go and you did different variations of that. So they're not the Royal Arms, but they're similar to the Royal Arms.
I would assume they're not, because it's
there's only one of them, and Noctis has them. So
you're not a king.
Yeah. So, but you've got a giant ninja star, and you've got a giant hammer, and you've got a fast sword, and different stuff like that. So it's pretty much the standard melee combat from the game.
Giant hammer.
Giant hammer.
Sorry.
Hammers. My fist isn't the hammer.
Hammer time.
That's right. You haven't seen Dr. Horrible's sing-along log.
No. You have not shared that.
I have not. I will get on that.
Oh, you need it's like 15 minutes of your life. That's all you need. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
It is Joss Whedon during the writer's strike got Nathan Fillion and Neil Patrick Harris
and
Felicia Day together to do a show about bad superheroes and villains. It's awesome.
And it's a musical. Because Joss loves music.
Really good at it. Oh man.
Anyway, back to the thing. After we beat the Garula, it put us back in the camp. Everybody finished heal. Oh, you do have a heal spell too, so you can use your MP to heal yourself. There's no potions, because remember that was all tied to the clan Lucius's ability to do stuff. So you don't have any potions or anything like that, but you do have a cure spell you can cast.
Potions on the floor.
I know that was part of the game that never made sense. Why would stores sell potions? Because Noct is literally the only person who can make them work. I don't know. So you get once you went back to the camp, it threw us into another mission. This one was defend a guy from waves of bombs and different enemies, which finished out with an Iron Knight.
Iron Giant.
Thank you. Not good with the names. I like purged 15 from my brain. I've forgotten.
Iron Giants are in all the Final Fantasies, though. Well, not all, but most.
Not all of them, but for some reason,
more than one.
Brain's not working. Yeah, I'm trying to give myself an excuse.
Like 6, maybe.
Yeah, probably about. The what are you up to, Mr. Bach? What are you up to here besides reminding me I haven't turned the volume off of my phone?
Just fun.
So so then we got sent into it, and then after that second one it said, "Thanks for playing the beta, bye." So I didn't do any more with it after that. So that took way longer than I thought I was going to. Now that I'm back kicked out of my phone again. Oh yes, fingerprint scanner. I forgot about that. That works much better. So
it's really good on that phone.
It is actually. That's really all I played. I've been meaning to get to Doom because we picked that up when it was on sale a couple weekends back. I've got through the first 2 levels, but I haven't played since the weekend we got it. It's an amazing game. I've got several games I want to get through here soon, and that's not including the ones that are coming out that I'm not buying. So otherwise, we had a really busy week, so I didn't get to watch much either, but I caught up on 3 weeks worth of Broadchurch and Killjoys. I swear, I still just keep watching Killjoys for Aaron Ashmore. I love Johnny Jacoby. It's just amazing. I don't know why, but
Johnny is best Jacoby.
Johnny is best Jacoby, yes. And then I'm still slogging through Enterprise while I'm on the elliptical. So I think I'm on the last episode of season 1 finally. So I'm
sorry.
Yeah, it's like not only it's like double torture and elliptical and enterprise.
Yeah, it's just
It's not like I wanted to make time go faster while I'm on the elliptical or anything.
it's just he just wants to torture himself more. It's just like
That's like the worst exercise machine ever.
But
it's only hooked up to Enterprise. I don't understand. It was on sale.
That's the only show that you can actually watch on the Netflix app on the Wii. It's literally like the only one they'll let you watch. No, I'm kidding.
Wait, for a second, dude, I totally believed you there.
It's the only Star Trek show I haven't watched, so I figured I finally have to just bite the bullet and do it, because I even eventually finished watching the seasons of Voyager that I skipped, so I figure I've got to do it. It's not as bad as I remember it, but it's still not very good.
I feel terrible because I absolutely love Scott Bakula.
I mean, and he doesn't do a bad job. It's really mostly the scripts and the.
It's just everything else is terrible. Why
low
can't they do a
production
good
value.
show?
Hmm?
Why can't they do a good show anymore?
I don't know, because this thing they got coming out now, I don't know.
It's not going to do anything.
I don't know. It's still better than Gotham.
You're
How
the one
that
that's
should get-
watching it though.
It doesn't matter. It can't be any better. I saw what they did to Chickless. No, it hasn't gotten any better.
Why are you still watching that show?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm not. Gotham?
Yeah.
Oh no, I stopped like 3 episodes into season 2.
Oh, who's still watching it then?
Dave
Everybody-
was. No, Mark was.
No. I quit.
Did Dave quit? Mark was still watching it because
Oh,
Lexi
yes.
likes the dude that plays the Penguin.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I was watching it because I did like the Penguin. But then, oh man, I think when they had like, when did I nope out of it for real? I think when
Freeze was the pin in it for me.
it wasn't Freeze. I was still watching after Freeze, and I think when they added in, was it Azrael? Did they add in?
Yeah, that's what it was. I remember now you mentioned.
And he was like jumping around episode. I think that's what I was just like, nope, I can't do this anymore.
and it somehow has another season still. I don't.
Yeah, how is
I
that
don't
show
get
getting renewed?
I don't get
Like,
it.
it's not good.
I know at least 2 people who know nothing about comic books who are still watching that show. So
I'll give them that. I'll let them watch. I get that.
It's still not good though.
It's still not good. It's a shame too, because the Penguin stuff was good when they were really going with that, where he was just kind of like, rising to power and everything. Like, that was good.
Yeah.
It
So
started out great, except for the Fish Mooney stuff.
yeah,
That was
Yeah.
never good.
and then everything turned into Fish Mooney stuff
Yeah.
spiritually, not literally. Okay, so I've got some news here that we can go
Do you
through
really?
quick. I do actually. When I started building this list, I was like, "Oh my gosh, nothing happened this week." And then by the time I got to, it's like I'm still copying news into the note here, and it's like, "Oh, I got to go start the podcast." So this week saw 2 games launch that I am very, 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 very interested in. Of course, I'm still under my self-imposed exile, so it's kind of painful. But Hellblade launched this week to mostly positive reviews. There's been a lot of debate around this. I would say if you don't know anything about the game or don't know much about the game, be very, 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 very careful. There is a lot of super spoilery stuff out there. I've had a couple things ruined for me already just in my curiosity about how the game was being received. So even titles at this point are giving away major, well, not major necessarily, but definitely part of the experience is being, to me, diminished by the fact that nobody gives a rip within the gaming journalism community. But anyway, we talked about Hellblade before. If you haven't heard of it, it's a game from Ninja Theory focusing on a Celtic warrior who is during the time where the Vikings are invading the British Isles, and she is suffering from psychotic break, and you play as her through the levels, perceiving the world through her mental illness. Telltale's Batman Season 2, The Enemy Within, launched this week. Again, Season 1 was amazing. Dave, did you play it?
I didn't get through the whole thing yet.
What?
I know. I'm like one episode away from finishing it.
Hopefully they've patched it, because that last episode was buggy.
Yeah, that's kind of what kept me from going to it. I was kind of hoping they would update it a little bit. And I think when I fired it up before I powered everything off to move everything into storage while the basement is being done, I think they did have a patch for. I think I saw a patch come down for it. Okay. So hopefully that fixed some things.
Well, that'd be good. I think you'd really enjoy it. I really enjoyed that take on Batman. Some differences, but it was still at its core was still high quality Batman.
Yeah, it was really good. I was enjoying everything I was playing so far on it, and I was loving the story. So I'm very excited to finish it.
You played that too, Mitchell, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked it a lot too. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, because you had pink bat gear,
purple.
I
had purple bat. Yeah, I had purple bat.
Because it looked, it was right. You had the same color as Catwoman's stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. But I'm still behind. What was the last one I still haven't done the last season of Walking Dead. So now I'm behind 2 series. And we know we have another season of The Wolf Within coming, and what was the third one they announced a sequel to?
They did the prequel for Life is Strange is coming out. So.
Yeah, that's not Telltale though. No, but I'd say Telltale announced 3 games at the same time: Wolf Within Season 2, Batman Season 2, and something else I'm not remembering. I don't think it was a new IP. I think it was an existing, but
Game of Thrones or
wasn't it Guardians of the Galaxy?
Well, Guardians of the that's another one I'm behind on. Thank you for reminding me. No, it wasn't that. I don't think it was Game of Thrones either.
Maybe it was Borderlands or something.
That's what I'm feeling like it was. Maybe it was Borderlands, because that one was amazing too. Anyway, we'll see if we can find that one. We hit this last week, but the day after we recorded the podcast, PlayerUnknown's Battleground went up to number 2 in concurrent players record.
What did it pass? What did it pass?
Counter-Strike.
Oh, okay. What's number 1 then?
Dota 2.
It's all coming back to me now.
Wait,
so,
number 1 is number 2? What?
Yes, number 2 is number 1.
Wait,
Dota 2 is number 1.
Dota 2 is number 1 in concurrent player record. But if PlayerUnknown Battleground can keep growing like this, and again, that's on Steam, which I think is the only platform it's available on right now. I don't think it's available on Xbox yet. I don't think. Eventually, it is coming to Xbox One and PlayStation 4. So, it in theory will only be going up at some point, unless it dies off in the PC scene. This week we got our first look via Ryan Reynolds' Twitter at Cable for Deadpool 2.
Perfection.
And it's pretty much dead on.
He looks really good.
It looks amazing. Did you see that, Mitchell?
Nope.
I failed again. Sorry.
Oh, I
Sure.
You know, if you followed Gamersledge on Twitter and Facebook, you get this.
How did you miss that one if you were even remotely on the internet?
He's been busy. We were actually in the presence of. I should announce this. We were in the presence of one of the newest Eagle Scouts. He just passed his final board of review this week, so he's been busy with that, and his grandpa's been having him help out on the farm and stuff. So he has been pretty busy. So I'll give him a pass.
I keep forgetting there's actually a farm involved in your family. That's so awesome.
No, it's not.
Hey, it's not that bad. It's not as much as it was when I was growing up. That was every day of my life. And it was much more active then. Okay, so last couple weeks ago, Sony announced the firmware 5. Wow, I cannot talk today. Firmware 5.0 for the PlayStation 4 was going to be going into beta in August and would be coming out sometime after that. Eurogamer somehow got a copy of the release notes for the beta, and some of the highlights are for PS4 Pro owners, they will be able to stream to Twitch at 1080p 60 frames per second. There's some significant changes to how the master and sub account system are going to work that are going to help enable the ability to now promote subs to masters and also to create groups in a family. So you're able to create family groups. Exactly what that does for you at this point, we're not really clear. But it also able to include someone in your family that's the main on a different PS4 system. So not exactly sure yet what that's going to enable, but that's intriguing, especially having a kid heading off to college. Not that he's taking a PlayStation 4 with him, but you know. Let's see. You can in 5.0 you'll be able to follow anyone's account, not just validated accounts, and that's the main ones that they really had on there. So yeah, there will also be a new version of the PlayStation app that will launch at the same time that 5.0 goes live to interact with some of these new features, especially the family and subs master account management that was mentioned. Did anybody sign up for the beta? Anybody interested in getting in the beta
for what? Firmware?
Firmware, yeah.
Yeah, no.
You know, I know you say that, but it's been surprisingly successful and stable. And
no, I get that, but my luck, I would sign up, and then the first one that would come out would be one of those ones that brick like 1% of the systems.
And yours would be in that 1%.
Of course it would be.
I understand the feeling. The Paris Olympic Committee is going to again with the talking. I should just hand this to somebody else. The Paris Olympic Committee is going to consider esports inclusion as a medal event for the 2024 Olympic Games.
Can we?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but no idea as to what it would involve, what games it would be.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter. That's like including bowling at the Olympics.
No, I'll only accept it if the game is QWOP.
Or DDR or something. Maybe.
What? DDR.
Because at least it's like physically exhausting. And you're using your body.
It'll actually be what's that? Let's Dance. Is that what it's called?
Because
Connect one.
No matter what they say about esports, it's recreation. It's not actually a sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's competitive, but yeah, I don't see it flying. I mean, they'd have to include chess in the Olympics at that point too. So
it just kind of like is insulting to the people who are like running marathons and shit.
It is.
Running this marathon, but you sit on your butt and play Street Fighter.
I would have to imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine where this would go, and not to mention we'd run into that whole thing where a couple of the things fell into where for official sports qualification you have to have men's and women's separate divisions, and that caused all kinds of malarkey the last time that came up. So I really don't see it going anywhere, but they're officially considering it. To coincide with the release of Metroid Samus Returns, which is the remake of Metroid 2, which is the only Metroid I'm aware of that I haven't played, on the 3DS, there is a Metroid 3 deemed 3DS XL that will be coming out. It looks lit. It's pretty awesome. I might actually finally break down and get a 3DS. It's red with some design on it that makes it look.
Get it because it's becoming obsolete.
Yes, exactly. But it has a pretty awesome stenciled Samus on the clamshell, so
It is nice, but it annoys me for one thing, and it's the reason why I got the new 3DS, the regular edition, because you can change the faceplates on it.
Mm.
And I understand why Nintendo did not really go full bore into that feature, because
they can't sell more systems.
Exactly, because they just want to sell more
They learned
systems.
from the Game Boy Micro.
Yeah.
I bought like 50 of those, so I don't know.
I didn't buy 50 of them. I have legitimately 4. Yeah. Yeah, I have 4.
So, but I guess the thing I didn't notice originally about this one, though, it doesn't include the game. And
Nintendo.
And no power, and again, no power adapter, assuming that you already own 40 from the previous system.
I'm sorry, that is the biggest BS out of
The fact
everything.
that, okay, the part
That's pretty crappy.
is eye-rolling enough, but not including the power adapter is like scumbag Nintendo. It just needs like, you know, the meme with the hat and the thing.
Well, I'm actually annoyed because that fact alone cost me a charger, because my wife's nephew got one for one of the, I forget when he got it. It was for like his last birthday or Christmas or something like that. And his mom didn't know that he needed to buy it, that she needed to buy a charger for it, and didn't have a charger for it.
Right.
So he was able to play it for however long the battery was in there. And then when they saw us later in the day, I was like, "Oh, I have one. You know, he can borrow this one." Well, of course, you know, yeah, of course, borrow, you know, became permanent. And it's just like, sure, I had 30 of them, but still, I might need that one.
You don't have one for every outlet in your house yet.
Yeah, not everybody. I understand. I'm an anomaly. I actually did buy way too many 3DSs, but
And yeah, the 3DS, I forget when they changed. Do all the 3DSs take the same adapter, or did the new 3DS take a different one?
I'm pretty sure they
Everything-
all use the same charger.
yeah, everything's been using the same charger at least from
XL forward.
no, actually before that. What was the two? Wait, it was the DSi, I think.
I thought the DSi and the 3DS chargers were different.
Yeah,
No,
they're
yeah.
different.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I've got a DSi.
Are you sure you have the DSi?
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure the. Oh, wait a minute.
No, the plugs are different.
Is it different? Because I
I'm
remember.
pretty sure it's 3DS up. That's
So 3DS, the entire 3DS and 2DS family use the same
Yeah.
charger for sure.
yeah.
I'm trying to remember something. I thought there was something different with the DS. I thought the DSi.
The
one was
DSi is unique. It will only go in the DSi. It won't go in the DS, and it won't go in the 3DS.
Oh, maybe that's it. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's it. Because remember when I found the DSi that had Chrono Trigger in it?
Yep.
And I was scrambling for the charger for it, and you're like,
couldn't
why
find
don't
it.
you just, you're like, why don't you just play it in one of the other systems you have the charger for? And I'm like, nope, purist.
I think if I were to get a new 3DS XL, like for like the new games that require it, I'd probably have to wait till they come up with if they come out with like an Ultra Sun or an Ultra Moon one.
No,
I'd actually be seriously down for the 2DS clamshell.
Yeah,
but
that
it doesn't come with the cool Samus stencil on it.
Actually, I think you should skip that one.
really.
Apparently, that one is not actually. That's actually one I'm not going to buy. Because I tend to be a whore and I buy them all anyway. But I actually do not own. I'm not going to buy that one at all, because apparently, like the battery life isn't all that great on it. Like,
Really?
apparently, they skimped on the battery, and like even though it's well built and everything, it's just not as good as like the other ones.
Huh.
I honestly think the sweet spot is the regular new 3DS. The one you can actually change the faceplates on, because you can change the faceplate. So if you want to get different stuff, you can. I have an awesome Pokemon one for it that's like, you know, perfection. Plus you can also get Kirby, Mario, like all these different ones on there. And I have actually a collection of them. But there's also like the form factor, I think, is perfection. The battery life is great. You know, I think that's really the sweet spot of it. The XL ones can, you know, go scratch as far as I'm concerned.
All right.
All right.
Good to know.
something that's been being teased and led up to with a significantly overly geeky ARG. I still props to those people who do those things because that's ridiculous. Some of the stuff that was come up with.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky will be getting a story patch, story update this week.
Why are you continuing with this? You're doing this with a straight face, and I'm impressed.
It's news. I seriously do want to go back and play it. I mean, there have been a lot of improvements since I quit. And it wasn't because I wanted to quit. I just ran out of time to do everything. So anyway, the update's called Atlas Rises. It enables the teleport portals so you can skip around the galaxy faster. And will include significant updates to the story. Considering there really wasn't any story, any updates would be significant. So, yeah, that's a thing that's happening still. So, I mean, at least they're still trying to fix it, right? They're still trying to make it something. They're still trying to work with it. They didn't just drop it like a baby giraffe. And
well, they did on launch day, but that's beside the point.
I mean, they're still trying to make up for it, which I can applaud. I applaud them at least trying. So Overwatch is having a new event. The big deal is the beach skins. Kate, have you checked this out at all? Have you been?
I haven't played Overwatch in a long time, but I love the skins and I love the timing of it because they dropped that on the day that Lawbreakers beta came out.
Right. Hey, that other game you might get for $30. Hey, here's that game you already have. That's got a bunch of new skins you can play for now. Hey. So I know you would look through them.
Stacy with a new hat.
Nice.
So I know you looked through them, Mitchell. Were there any that you were going to try and gun for? The Grill Dad.
Yes,
his rifle is an assault rifle. In his like.
But they're just feeding the Overwatch dad memes. They're feeding the memes with that skin. They're just like, here's some new meme material. Spread propaganda for our game. Make all the dad jokes and comics with Soldier 66 that you want.
76.
76.
Well, and
I'm sorry.
Weaker one, he's like got the biker one for it.
Yep.
The side of it says like Edgelord or Edge or something like that. So they're like embracing that part of it too.
Yep. I sort of liked Sombra's summer skin was really neat. Her summer game skin. I really liked Sombra's. Widowmaker had a nice one too, if I remember correctly.
I won't say what I remember you focusing on when you were talking about Widowmaker.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
anyway,
we don't want to up another debate.
So this is one that I'm just going to toss up there and see if Kate's got any knowledge on, because this is well beyond the my level of paying any attention to fighting game stuff. But apparently, there's a fairly prominent Street Fighter mod community. I had no idea.
There's a mod community for any game, every game, but yes.
True.
Well, that's true, but Street Fighter, yeah, it's on PC, so all right,
yeah,
I
it's got
guess.
a huge mod community.
So apparently, this is the unspoken, or maybe it is spoken, rule of the fighting game mod community is that mods are always free, and you don't ever mention anything about money with mods.
That's true for anything.
So there were two modders working on Street Fighter mods that got takedown notices by Capcom. Not exactly sure why they got the takedown notices, if it was because they were infringing on other copyrights. They made, of course, the nude mods, but they also made things like Wonder Woman mods and Nier Automata character mods and stuff in there. Or if it was because they had Patreon pages that were soliciting donations. So they weren't technically charging for them, but they were giving people the option to pay, and based on if they did pay, they could get different services. So like if you paid above a certain level, you could request whatever you wanted and they would make it. You weren't paying for the mod, but you were paying for them to make the mod. You were paying them and they were making the mod, but you weren't buying the mod. So it's a real weird,
well, it's like a funding thing,
area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been following that at all, Kate, or
No.
okay? So anyway, so there's so one of them is still making mods, although he took his Patreon page down. The other one has stopped making mods and took his Patreon page down. So if you're into that scene and maybe you know more about the impact of this, let us know. Let's see, what else do we got in here? Horizon Zero Dawn has announced the expansion, the Frozen Wilds date will be November 7th. November is kind of going to be a critical month for me that Battlefront 2 comes out. Planning on justifying getting that because it's my birthday month.
Nice.
So having the Frozen Wilds also come out in November is kind of but at the rate I'm going, I won't have the original game done by November, so I'll be able to wait.
And you make that very difficult on me finishing it.
Hey, speaking of Metroid 2, which we dropped earlier with the official remake, there was around the same time that Pokemon Uranium came out, there was a unofficial remake of Metroid 2 that was also pulled down very quickly by Nintendo. But the creator, Milton Guasti, I'm not sure on that one, sorry, who created the Metroid 2 fan game, AM2R, has been hired by Moon Studios to work on Ori and the Will of the Wisps. So it may not have worked out for him to gain a lot of traction with that per se, but it was enough to get him noticed and hired by a full-on dev studio. So congrats to him.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else we got here. I had no idea that the studio that made Myst was still around.
Ugh.
But they've got a new game. Spiritual successor to Myst called Abduction comes to PS4 later this month.
Ugh.
All the FMV video and walking through screensavers that you could ever want.
The fact that that game is considered some kind of revolutionary piece of classic gaming annoys the ever-loving crap out of me.
It was my first PC game on a computer that I owned.
It still drives me up a wall. Like, compared to the stuff that was out at that time, like, I mean, you're talking about all the LucasArts stuff that were really hitting their stride, you know, with the point-and-click adventures and everything. Like, there was nothing...
King's Quest, Space Quest.
Yeah, like, those were actual games. Stuff. Myst was just, like, obtuse. Just for the sake of being obtuse.
And then
there was nothing deep about it. It was just completely crap design with some pretty pictures, and it was just static pictures. Like, we're not talking about anything great. Like, this was just, it's a piece of shit. I'm going to say it.
I wouldn't go that far, but it was an interactive slideshow.
God.
That's the thing. If people can try and make art out of nothing and they left the game open for interpretation like that, that's what's going to happen. Someone is going to pull something out of their bum and say that that's what it is.
It was awful. It was really awful. And I feel to this day, I still feel like I'm an insane person. Like, I'm like, did you play it? Did you actually play it? Do people understand how crappy of a game this actually was? And I use the term game loosely because it wasn't one.
Well, it had puzzles.
Ish.
They were very obtuse.
Obtuse puzzles.
Yes.
It had random.
What to do with that boiler.
It had random stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's not unfair assessment.
This is like when people like a band and they're just like, well, you just don't get it. Like, no, the band can actually be crappy. Like, it's okay.
But much like I don't like most of the Beatles' music, but I understand their impact that they had on music at the time, popular music. I'd say Myst is the same way. It's not a great game, but it had a significant impact.
What impact? What games are like Myst because they wanted to be like that?
I believe. Hey, hush. I think it broadened the gamer community. I think more people played Myst than would have played any LucasArts game.
Do you think it's just because they didn't understand?
No, undoubtedly. It got so much press. It was everywhere. It was in non-gaming related stuff. So it got a lot of press. It got a lot of word of mouth, and it was pretty. And I think that was really when people started saying, well, when are we going to get games that look like Myst? I think there were people that literally that drove the desire to get high level graphics. Because I mean, granted, the LucasArts is good stuff for what it is, but it's not by what we would consider today's standards to be pretty.
But they weren't. They were just still pictures. You could watch a slideshow and it was just as good. It's not better.
Understand, but your average person didn't understand the difference. And I think that's where the broadening of the game community came in. You didn't have to have twitch reflexes. You didn't have to have this controller with these buttons that I don't know what to do with my thumbs. It was simple. It was not intuitive, but you could play it forever and maybe feel like you were getting somewhere. I don't know.
I'm just hoping that this happens and somehow they go bankrupt and finally I'm vindicated.
I honestly have no idea what this game is about. It doesn't really give any a description of it, but one can assume one walks around a lot. I
guarantee that nobody knows what it's about, and they don't know either. It's probably like they're just like, they're going to make it like the show Lost. Like, it really doesn't matter. Story doesn't matter. People will play it. We'll just say it was from the makers of Myst, and they'll just be like, nah. Hate them.
So we'll see. We'll see if Dave becomes vindicated or not. So Dave, this one's also kind of pointed at you. Did you happen to catch the 2 games that were announced to be coming to the Switch today?
No, I did not.
Via Twitter. Super Meat Boy.
Oh no.
And Mutant Mudds Deluxe were both announced coming to the Switch today.
Now that's Mutant Mudds Deluxe is actually something I would probably get.
I actually have it from Plus.
Yeah.
So it's a decent little game. I didn't get very far, but it seemed decent.
It is a very decent game. If it has extra content from what was on Plus, then I probably would be tempted to pick it up.
Now, this is the deluxe version, which I think the one we got on Plus was the standard version.
I believe so. As far as Super Meat Boy, no. I've had my fill of that. I understand that it's just like I've done everything I can in that game. I will not be playing that on the Switch.
Yeah, after about 5 minutes, I was done with that game. But
yeah, it was just like, okay, I get what you're doing here, and it's just not for me. However, Mutant Mudds, I love that developer, so I will do my best to support them.
Also, I guess it hit today. Severed from Drinkbox.
Oh, well, that's on the Switch today.
Yep.
Now, I can see myself re-downloading that on the Switch. I was playing that on the 3DS, and it was very good.
Yeah, it's the only Drinkbox I haven't played, I think. So
it's very good. It's different from like their other types of games, but it definitely still has that style per se that you're used to from them. So like you can tell it's a Drinkbox game, even though it plays completely different. It kind of plays like an old school. What did they call them? It's like the God, what's the name? Like the Ultima kind of 3D dungeon crawl where you just go room to room. Wasn't there a specific name for that genre?
Well, sort of something like Dark Cloud you're talking about, right? Or
no. You're literally like you're looking. It's like first person, but you're just like dungeon
crawler.
Oh, it is dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's basically done like a dungeon crawler style.
Cool.
For some reason, I thought it wasn't dungeon crawler.
Yeah, dungeon crawler. Yeah, that's dungeon crawler.
I do think I said that.
You did. And it just took me a while to catch up to what you were saying.
All it matters is that I was right, even though I am fantastically drunk.
even though you weren't right. So you were right but you weren't.
No, I was right. Even if it was an accident, it doesn't matter. I'm right. Even though I think I'm fantastically drunk right now. I'm not sure.
Could be. Well, we lost Kate. This next one
Yeah.
was more specifically for her.
What happened to her?
I don't know. She didn't message that she had to bounce, so I don't know if she just got disconnected. I sent her an invite again, so we'll see if she comes back. So I'll save that one till the end in case she pops back in.
Cool.
Which we're almost at the end of the news anyway, so it won't be too long.
Can I give a funny anecdote though, real quick?
Sure.
So there was a delivery today of the cabinet for my my DVD, game rack and everything like that for the basement.
Right.
The guys that delivered it, they went downstairs. I have some of the stuff set up on the shelves. Like I have some Lego sets and stuff like that, just kind of like to move them out of storage. They're not in their permanent places yet. But one of the things I put on the shelf up top was the fancy Ratchet and Clank statue I have.
Right.
One of the guys came up the stairs and he was just like, he just stood there and looked at me and was like, nice Ratchet and Clank. I'm like, somebody just got a $20 tip.
Nice.
So that was just awesome. I just want to say that there's other people out there that appreciate the greatness of Ratchet and Clank.
That's good.
Yeah. That's cool. Always nice when somebody recognizes something, especially when it's coming from a direction you don't expect so much.
Right.
So
when I was in Florida, I got like 3 compliments per day on whatever piece of Kingdom Hearts apparel I was wearing. I at least had like 5 people say like, "Hey, nice Kingdom Hearts shirt. Hey, nice Kingdom Hearts shirt."
Cool.
So that was pretty good.
Of course, it was Florida, and you were in the Disney area, so
yeah,
was well aligned.
Yeah. It always annoys Carrie when I'm wearing one of my geek shirts and we're out in public and random people come up and go, "That's an awesome shirt." Like,
I don't understand it.
And she's like, "I don't get it."
So actually, we are at the end of the news, and I'm guessing Kate must have had to drop. Anyway. Starfire is now available in Injustice 2. She didn't mention Injustice 2 during her talk, so I'm not sure if she's been up on that at all, but I'm not sure if Starfire is one of those reskins of an existing character, like is she a reskin of Green Lantern or is she a unique character? Because I know there's a combination of these updates are kind of, some are the unique and some are reskins of existing characters. Based on the description, it sounds like she's a unique, but I'm not sure. So if you have one of the deluxe editions or character packs, she should be available for you to download now. So let's see, how long have we been at this? We've been at this just over an hour, so we got time a bit before we get to the reader mail. Holy crow, I am really not good with words today.
I'm doing better than normal, so
oh, brother. This is why you do not do podcasts with relatives.
Exactly why you do podcasts with relatives.
So discussion topic came out of something that I read earlier this week. It's actually a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm assuming Mitchell will have a slightly different perspective on it than Dave and I. But the overall concept is there's no good time to play games anymore. Mm-hmm. And that is coming from a couple of different perspectives. One, a game you buy and play on launch day is undoubtedly different than that same game a month later. With the frequency of patches and fixes and updates and new content and all of the things that release in a fairly short time frame, any game on launch day within a couple of months can be significantly different than it was 2 months later. It could be significantly different than it was at launch. So when do you play a game? Do you get it at launch to be, as Mark puts it, at that involved in that conversation? Do you wait a couple of weeks and see what the patches do? Do you wait till the Game of the Year edition, assuming it's a big enough game to get one, and then get it with all of the DLC, all the fixes, all the patches and everything, and experience it that way. That's kind of how I ended up experiencing The Witcher 3, even though I bought it on launch day. I ended up waiting so long to play it that it was effectively the Game of Year edition at that
This
point.
is exceptionally deep.
I think it depends sort of on the genre of the game, though, I think.
I agree with that.
Yeah, something like Smite is constantly evolving.
Right. Like, as I said, like, they literally, like, just this last Tuesday dropped a new god. And, like, probably like a month and a half ago, they dropped another new god. So that's, like, constantly changing. And I don't know about the meta, how much that is changing overall, because I don't really keep up on that sort of thing. Austin would be much more knowledgeable on that type of thing, but it's, yeah, MOBAs are constantly evolving from what I can tell. I mean, even Overwatch, which they don't drop characters nearly as often, but
they're constantly dropping load balancing patches and stuff.
Right. Like
Reinhardt just got nerfed again.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, why did they have nerf poor Reinhardt? Like,
anyway.
Yeah.
So, but so that is something different than say like Witcher 3, which is a much more fixed experience.
Right.
So, what are your thoughts, Dave? Your before you pass out?
No. I'm not ready to pass out. I kind of agree on the basically I think it comes down to two things. Is it single player or multiplayer? If it's multiplayer, you'll probably benefit from being in from the beginning, even if there's significant changes down the line, because people are just going to have an advantage playing from the beginning. I mean, even if they make drastic changes, there's people that are going to be just like, they're practiced, they're ready, they're going, they've been with the flow the whole time. The single player stuff, it's worth it to wait, especially if they're going to do DLC, because down the line you're going to get a cheaper package that has everything bundled in for the Game of the Year edition, or there's going to be sales, or there's going to be all the bug fixes on it. I mean, so it doesn't really pay to be day one for something like that, where things are going to be coming later, unless it's just something you really have to, like if it's really something you're really looking forward to. But overall, like value-wise, it pays to wait if it's a single-player game.
Yeah, definitely. If you don't feel the need to be with the newest thing constantly, you don't even have to wait that long anymore. Games drop significantly in price within 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, depending on the company making them.
True.
I mean, like with Fire Emblem Echoes, that game hasn't been out like too long. It's got like maybe 2 months out, 3 months about, I think. And there's a fair amount of DLC. I mean, heck, there's bonus character DLCs that you can get for bonus maps to get new recruitable characters. I think I heard about one just dropping recently too.
Are those free or are those pay?
No, you have to pay for them, sadly. So if I had the money, I probably would get them, because I mean, characters in Fire Emblem games can if you have a different unit, that can entirely change any scenario because it's an SRPG, right? But
right. And see, that's where I guess I'm a little torn on that half of the subject. It's on the one hand, you've gotten to the point where a lot of games seem to ship unfinished. Right. Or at least unpolished, shall we say. Maybe not unfinished, but unpolished. So you're getting a raw experience to start with, potentially. But then again, you've got Mark, who played the Marvel Omega beta to the point where he was done with the game before the game was a game, and then was complaining because he didn't have any new content. So if you start too early, do you get too far ahead of the curve and burn out? Where is the sweet spot on something like that? Honestly, I think the game should have reset from the beta and just started over, but it was really released. They just called it a beta. It was really actually out. So that's kind of like Players Unknown Battleground being an early release. No, it's out.
Yeah.
And it's the number 2 top concurrent player game on Steam. Your game is released. You are not a beta.
Yeah.
Is there still Is there still actually, like, I remember reading something before about the beta tag on software. It had to do with there was actually different tax implications.
That could be.
And I remember that's what, like, Google was using loopholes because
That's why everything's in beta forever.
yeah, remember when like Gmail was in beta forever? And apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, but somebody said it. I remember reading an article about it being a tax loophole.
That could very well be. Yeah, it doesn't really. Beta in video games stopped meaning what beta actually means a long time ago. So, if you're actually following software development where alphas and betas don't even really make sense with agile development, but
True.
when you're talking about it, you're really just talking about stress testing usually, right? You're stress testing your servers, which is well beyond beta. You may not be playing final code, but it's not beta really. So what does it mean to be a game that's released? If you're paying for an early access game, are you really paying for a beta, or are you just paying for a game that you know is going to be continually updated? That's kind of a side argument to this. The other aspect of this discussion is there's not really a dead season anymore.
No.
There's not a time to catch up. There's not a time where you can say, okay, I'm going to buy these games, and then, come June, July, August, September, I'm going to have 4 months where basically nothing's dropping and I'm going to catch up. That doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
There's a constant stream of games coming out. And unless you are incredibly genre specific in your playing, you only play football games, you only play shooters, and even then, you only play SRPGs. There's something coming out all the time. What is it on Steam? On Steam, isn't it something like 250 games launch a day or something like ridiculous like that on Steam?
I know there are a lot of new releases on Steam fairly continually, but then again, most of those are like little crud projects that show up every now and then. But I mean, I don't know what
whatever the number is, that minus one of them are not good.
Yeah. But yeah, and I think part of it is also the gameplay time of games has slowly been going up because a lot of people are playing those more. They're releasing a lot more of those prolonged open world games where there's a ton of exploration that you can do, and there's a prolonged story, or maybe not even any story. But in some ways, they can just like extend the arc of the game, and there've been these long play times for games.
Right. It's kind of weird because it's kind of split in my mind, right? You've got things like Hellblade that are coming out that intentionally wanted to hit that 7-ish hour mark for gameplay for $30.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the experience they wanted to craft.
Mm-hmm.
Which I love. That is one of the main reasons I want to support that game.
For people who are in this position like Dave and I are, where, with work and families and everything, that's like the perfect size game for us.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got World of Warcraft, which is how many years old now?
Very.
Like 10 almost, I think.
It's old.
Maybe actually 10. Or is it older than that? I don't even know. Anyway, it's old. It's still going. It has people that have been playing the game since day one still playing it. And there are a lot of game companies that are trying to find that loop. They're trying to find that hook that will get people to play their game essentially forever. And if they can get them to pay them while playing the game forever, then they're really in. But yeah, there's no downtime anymore. There's the release cycle is continuous. Everyone's trying to find their little nook. It used to be January and February were the dumping grounds. January and February this year have games that are still contending for Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably going to get worse. So the final thought on this is, does this self-correct at some point, or is this just the new normal?
Don't know. And to answer the question, it will be 13 years old in November.
13 years old in November.
Honestly, I think it is the new normal. It's basically a maturing of the industry. instead of everybody, just dumping everything during the holiday season. And you're still going to see like the bulk of the big titles probably arriving around the holiday season because they know that's when they're going to get, their biggest pop for the money. The thing is, with maturity comes, it's just like the movie industry. You look at the movies that were released when, back in the 80s and stuff. There's a lot less movie releases, to be honest. Compared to
70s, 60s, 50s. A lot.
Yeah. So, you look at the way they've done stuff like that. It's just a maturing of an industry. When that happens, they spread everything out. They realize that there's like, okay, people want to buy games all year round, so they're going to spread out their wares all year round. That's just what happens over time. So they have a perfect opportunity to really take advantage of nobody having dead spots. Like Nintendo, they space out their releases. Like, every couple months they have a major release. So they have just a steady stream of profit as opposed to just, big pops at a couple times a year.
Right, makes sense as like a marketing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you have a constant flow.
Yeah, it makes your financial management a little easier when you don't have to front or backload your fiscal year.
Right, and people can take advantage of it. It's like how people would, like, for instance, also again with the movie industry, where people would position movies like not so much in direct competition with other stuff. Right. So they're just like, okay, we have this game that's, it's not like a, one of the super AAA titles that's a guaranteed hit, but it's like something that'll be a hit if, there isn't much coming out at this time. They can position it, accordingly. Right. They can look at the release list and sit there and say, something, let's plan it here in, like, say, February, when it's a little bit slower. Get the game out there. And next thing you know, there's a new big hit because, they were able to spread it out a little bit.
Yeah. And then the only risk they really run is if they're concerned about getting like Game of the Year things from different publications and whatever, they run the risk of getting lost in the shuffle potentially.
Yeah.
But people are still talking about Resident Evil. People are still talking about Nier Automata. People are still talking about all those games that came out in January and February of this year. So that doesn't seem to be too much of a concern yet at this point, but we're just starting to get, I would argue we're beginning the fall season this month already because we're getting Uncharted at the end of the year, or at the end of the month, excuse me.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Whoa, what?
Uncharted: The Lost Legacy drops the end of this month.
Are you serious already?
Yeah. So we're really starting the fall season at the end of August.
Wow.
The industry's really been kicking into high gear.
2017's been ridiculous. If this is going to keep up, I'm just going to have to like buy one game a year and that's it. I'm done. Because I already feel guilty about all the games I have that I haven't played.
That is true.
And all the games that I want to play that I haven't bought. That's a lot of guilt.
There is definitely a lot of guilt. I'm actually excited for the basement to be reset up, because I'll be down there more.
I'm sort of hoping that next year might be a little bit of a slow year, like not as many releases next year. I'm hoping. I know that's not going to happen.
He's so young.
I can have dreams,
but it might be a big year for Xbox and nobody else, since they'll have the Scorpio out. So we'll see. We'll see if that Scorpio gains traction or not. If Xbox can try to close the gap between PlayStation and it, or if they'll just focus on the next thing, or if they think Scorpio is the next thing. That's the very unclear thing about all of this, is where do we draw the line at this point? Will there be a PS5? I think so. Will there be an Xbox 2? Who knows? All right, so we do have some reader mail this week.
Awesome.
Our good old, unfortunately, we really need Mark here for some of these, but our good old friend 22 Link 22 is back with a fury. Has a few questions for us. Dave, did you play Destiny when it launched?
Briefly.
Did you make it to the end of the story content?
No. Dear God, no.
Well, it
Who do
wasn't.
you
I
think
mean,
I did?
it wasn't bad.
Who are you talking to?
The story. I mean, the story wasn't good, but I mean, that was the best part of Destiny at launch. So anyway, he asks, what do you hope they do in Destiny 2 that they didn't do in Destiny 1?
More story.
Dave?
Definitely better story.
Dave, do you have any thoughts?
I don't.
You don't?
I'm sorry, I don't.
Don't make it a loot hunt.
Well, it's going to be a loot hunt. That's the loop for the game, and that's the hook that they have, is those people who are in the loot hunt game, the loot grind game. I am not a loot grinder. That's why when I get done playing the story of Diablo 3, I'm done playing Diablo 3. I don't want to play it 1,000 more times to look for the shiny red armor of death, and then the shiny purple armor of death, and then the shiny ultra purple armor of death, or whatever. That holds no
That's what I
interest
felt.
to me at all.
Yeah, that's what I felt bad about the whole Destiny thing, because I was just like, oh, those are the people who made Halo, and I loved Halo and everything. And what did I really love about Halo? I mean, especially going back to the first game, it was such a cohesive, great single-player campaign, well thought out, well crafted, and it was just superb all the way through. And I always want to, kind of recapture that. And then I still have like the memories of the sequel where you just like you were smacking around a monkey, and then all of a sudden the credits roll.
You're not gonna ever let that space monkey thing go, are you?
No. I'm still bitter about that. And then Destiny is just what's that?
You don't hold a grudge at all.
No, not at all. Well, because I took off work for that.
Those were the days.
Thank God. See, again, thank God that's when all the games were released in the same week, and I had Ratchet and Clank to go to right after that, so we were good.
So I'd agree with Mitchell. I hope that they craft a very good, tight story campaign. I mean, the shooting mechanic in Destiny was always good. I mean, they definitely did bring that over from Halo. It was a fun shooter. The beta that I played seems like they're setting up a pretty good story for Destiny 2. It seems like they're going a good direction. The world was much more alive in Destiny 2 than it was in Destiny 1.
I'm not sure how some of the mechanics are going to work with how the beta played out, if that's actually like a prequel thing. I'm not sure how some of the mechanics are going to turn out that way.
There's got to be a twist there somewhere, because we know certain things exist in 2 that would seemingly contradict the end of the beta.
Right.
So either the end of the beta is just a red herring or a bait and switch, or there's a twist.
Yeah. Something in there's.
They hired M. Night Shyamalan to write the script, so there's a twist.
Who?
Nice.
M. Night Shyamalan, movie writer, director, Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, movies you haven't watched.
Okay.
Okay, so this one is probably only for me. Maybe Mitchell. I don't remember if you played this at all. But he wants to talk about the PS3 360 era shooter MMO Defiance.
That's so old. That was the one with the TV show with it.
Yeah, it matched up with the Defiance TV show, which was on Sci-Fi, which I liked. It was a very good show. Mm-hmm. And I actually really enjoyed the Defiance game.
I didn't play it much though.
It was a third-person shooter.
Mm-hmm.
It was dice roll, so it wasn't like headshot you win. It was headshot does more damage. So there was that aspect. See, I don't even play enough MMOs to even know the terminology, but the events, yeah, the spontaneous events. You would have this arc fall, which was explained in the story, and things would happen. You'd go into this thing, everybody would run there, they would fight the stuff, you'd get the loot, and you'd jump in your Jeep or whatever and ride on off to the next one if you were not doing story stuff.
Right.
And it was fun because each of the arc falls were different. They had different enemy types, they had different goals, had different things. So, and you were always there with this huge group.
Right.
At least early on. And it was fun. I would say as far as multiplayer games, it was fun. Now, again, eventually you ran out of story content and it went to loot grind and I got bored and left. But he wants to know if he thinks there's any chance of it being ported to the Xbox One and PS4, like the fans that remain of the game want, or if it's even a good idea. I had to, go ahead.
I'm not sure if it would be a good idea marketing wise, because it seems like at this point it'd be like a niche game at this point. I don't know.
I went ahead and looked up some stats because I got these ahead of time, so I knew. Right now, the game is running 700 to 800 max concurrent players in a month.
I think it's more likely to be ported to like Steam or something like that if it's not already.
It's already on PC.
Okay, well then.
So I don't think we're looking at anything that's going to be viable for them to port. Now, if they were going to do a Defiance 2, the show's done. Right. The show's over. It's not on anymore. Had 5 seasons, I think.
5 seasons for that?
Really? I don't remember it being that long.
Maybe it was less, but I thought it was 5 seasons.
Maybe we didn't watch all of it.
That's insanity.
The first couple of seasons definitely tied in with the game. Events in the game and the show interlinked. I don't know beyond that if there was any interlink. Because I'd stopped playing Defiance by then. But you could, in theory, create a Defiance 2.
Right. Or like drop major DLC and then do like a combo pack.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could include all the content from Defiance 1 in Defiance 2.
Yeah, that's what it almost.
That's what you were saying. That's the only way I could see if they were going to relaunch it as a new thing.
Yeah,
it could maybe bring that to the current consoles. But with 800-ish best case concurrent users a month, there's no business case there to just.
It'd almost have to be a subscription game at that point.
Yeah, and that it won't survive that.
No,
it will not survive that. So, I think we're probably see Defiance. It's probably done. Maybe it'll carry on in the PC space longer, but I can't imagine it's going to be able to hold up too much longer unless they can launch a whole new version of the game successfully and carry on that way. And then his final question was, what is the game you guys are most looking forward to that's coming out the remainder of this year?
Well, knowing that I'm probably not going to be able to play it, but Pokemon Tournament Deluxe is coming out in September, and that seems sort of interesting. They're dropping new fighters, and I think they're adding some to the story. Not sure on that, but I did enjoy the Pokken game that I've played so far for the Wii U. It had a really interesting mechanics in it. It's a little bit hard to get a grip on sometimes, but it had some really nice mechanics in it that I enjoyed. Trying to think of what else I know is coming out, but you guys can go.
I've never heard say anything positive about that game. No, I think we're just going to do one in the interest of time. So that will definitely not be one anyone else will be saying. So good points for uniqueness. Dave, anything you're looking forward to, especially for the rest of the year?
You know, something I am actually looking for the new Mario game. I'm looking forward to the new Mario game that's coming out. It looks a hell of a lot of fun. I was watching a lot of videos around when, E3, when they were showing off a lot of different gameplay stuff. It looks like they're back to making really fun games for the Switch. So I'm very excited about that one.
All right. Personally, I am really looking forward to Battlefront 2. Really looking forward to that single player experience. And I'll play multiplayer too. I'm not good. I'm just not a good multiplayer player. Just not. But
I need to change my vote.
I'll still be playing that. A lot of other games I have interest in, but I think that's probably the one I'm the most hyped for to get me through to December. Which unfortunately doesn't drop till mid-November, so it's not much carryover there. But okay, you want to change your vote? What's your vote?
Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It's Pokemon. It's like hard.
You've already played the game.
But they're changing it. It's a reboot. It's different.
It's different.
Reboot.
It's like the diamond and it's like black and white too. You got it's the extra stuff.
Okay,
It's the icing on the cake.
I'll take your word for it.
If it's a new game, it's all new stuff.
You're still vying for that, aren't you?
It's different SKU.
I knew you were going.
I'll be honest. I wanted in a Sun and Moon 2. I wanted it because I wanted the traditional gym system. I'm hoping that's implemented into it. That's something that I sort of want, especially since they now have the league set up in Alola. I sort of wanted to see how it changes from the system that they had in the first Sun and Moon games, and how this transition changes the Alolan region and how it operates.
But this is the version of Sun and Moon for the Switch. This isn't the unique Switch Pokemon title that's coming, right?
No, it's not. I don't think we've heard anything about the unique title other than there's going to be one.
Okay.
Which I'm nervous about because I won't have a Switch and I won't be able to play it, which makes me sad.
Which means you'll just have to come visit your parents every once in a while.
Oh.
That's good enough. I'll just hole up and play Pokemon the entire
time. So Marco asks, what is a game that already came out this year, but you haven't played yet, but really want to?
Huh. Oh, I got a really good one.
Okay, go.
Rez in virtual reality.
No. So you played Rez, but you haven't played the VR.
Right. I would really like to play the VR version of Rez, but I have not been able to justify picking up the PSVR yet. And especially with all the money going out the door for finishing the basement and everything. I don't know when that's actually going to happen.
Yeah. We've got a deck that we're getting refinished and a tree that's getting extracted from the backyard. So
yeah. So that kind of stuff, takes away. Do I really want to spend $300 just to play one game? Probably not today.
Yeah.
This is not like Zelda.
Mr. Mitchell, do you have a thought?
I'm looking. You go.
All right, I'll go. One that I don't own because I do need to get to Breath of the Wild, but we own that, so I'm going to discount that one. Is Nier Automata. Debated between that one and Resident Evil, and I think Nier is just a game that speaks more to me as a gamer than Resident Evil does. Slightly. I'm still intrigued by this whole building of endings. Each of the 26 endings builds on the previous experience and expands it rather than just being, oh, I saved A instead of B, so I get a slightly different cinematic at the end. Or I passed the kangaroo court because I made sure I picked up the girl before the pendant and I didn't steal the guy's lunch so I could get free HP. And yeah, that's all Chrono Trigger references, by the way.
Nice.
So, I think that game just sounds really, really, really intriguing, and I enjoyed the demo. So I really want to sink some time into that.
So I think I have my answer.
Okay.
First thing I thought of was Nier, but then I spotted something while I was looking, and I saw Neo, which, as you know,
Japanese Souls.
Yeah, I like a lot about the Japanese culture and a lot of that sort of type of stuff. I'm big into those types of things, and it seems something that seems really interesting to me, especially with what I've seen of it so far and how much of the folklore and the different types of weaponry and the stuff it uses in the game. And it seems a little bit less Dark Soulsy than Dark Souls. So I'm open to playing somewhat ragey games since I've already played Dark Souls and a bit.
Well, probably closer to Lords of the Fallen than Dark Souls.
Right, yeah.
You both have mentioned Nier, and I know that's I think one I saw recently added to the Switch store. What exactly is that, and why should I be playing that since everybody seems to love it?
As I understand it, it's an action RPG, right? You play as an android, who each time. So what they're actually doing is downloading human consciousness as memories, uploading them into androids, and using the androids as their like foot soldiers. And like for, I don't know what the full story is, but each time you do a story, your character has a memory backup of your previous save file. So your character remembers everything they've done through all the playthroughs.
Huh.
So yeah, Nier is a game that came out on PlayStation several years ago.
Right, I remember.
Nier Automata is actually a sequel to that by about 10,000 years. Oh, okay. Correction. It's a sequel to one of the endings of Nier.
Nice.
Nier is a sequel to one of the endings of, I forget, but anyway, there's a path there. Nier is not technically the first game in the series. It's a sequel to one of the endings of another game by the same moon-headed developer guy whose name is escaping my brain at the moment. That's the guy that wears the moon on his head, over his face, like as a head. And then so Nier Automata and all the things that Mitchell said are fairly accurate. And you don't necessarily play as the exact same character every time, but you do carry through things through each playthrough. And there are 26 endings to get through. Each is basically shorter each time you play it. So the first time you play through, it's something like 20 hours. Each subsequent playthrough is of a different style and from a different angle and generally takes less time than the previous runs. So I think all said and done, you're looking at 35, 40 hours of a game. So the thing is each time you play it, you find out something that makes you realize the position that you had when you were doing the actions in the previous playthrough were not necessarily as clear cut as you thought they were when you were doing them. So it keeps turning the story on its head. This character that you thought was just a drone actually dreams of being a ballerina, for example, but you don't find that out till like play through 5.
Oh, so that's something I would really relate to.
Being a ballerina. Yeah, I know that's been a lifelong dream of yours. So,
It is.
and I'm not saying that's literally an example, but that's the kind of thing that, that drone that you just bashed its head into a rock and play through 1, because you just thought it was just this mindless drone, had this, 5,000 year dream of being a ballerina, and you crushed it by smashing its head into a rock.
I know there's one supporting character who plays a really big role, as I understand.
There's the guy
B2,
and the girl.
I think his name. B2 and the chick.
Yeah, I think she's Alpha and he's
B2, I think.
B2, yeah, I think it's A something in B2 are the two main characters. Or is it S? She S? Anyway, they have a letter and a number. It's like a Star Wars droid. And their story and their consciousnesses are the ones that you're basically experiencing the story through. But yeah, it's really intriguing. It's really weird. And the play style changes constantly. If you played the beta, you went from third person action to top down shooter to twin stick shooter to side scroller to back to third person action game. And so you're never in one game style for very long. It keeps the gameplay fresh by constantly changing how you're interacting with the world. So that makes sense. You kind of look confused. I'm not sure if you're just drunk and tired or if you're confused.
Okay, so the characters are...
No, Dave, sorry.
Oh, right. I was just
nice.
I'm pretty sure you're actually drunk.
No, that actually sounds pretty cool. I might have to check that one out.
But the characters' names?
The main character, the female, is so there's 3 playable characters. The first of them, the chick, is that everyone sees is 2B. Or Yorha number 2 type B. And then there's the guy who is 9S. And then another female character that I didn't know existed, A2. So those are the 3 playable characters, apparently.
All right. Cool. So that is it. And we have one last question before Dave falls over. What are you hoping, or wait, let me get it right. Let me read it. What are your hopes Doggo Dragon asks, what are your hopes for Star Wars Episode 8? Dave, go.
Star Wars Episode 8.
Yeah.
That it doesn't suck.
Is that it? Are you're so unsure about this movie that you think there's a good chance it would suck?
No, I hope it doesn't do anything that's like. I hope it isn't anything lame. I hope it's not where they're just trying to be overly, where they don't try to be overly witty with the story. Like, it doesn't need to be like, some super twist on top of a twist. Like, and I'm worried that, they might try and pull something like that. Like, just keep it simple, keep it Star Wars, keep it good. That's all. Just continue doing what you're doing. I actually very much like the last couple Star Wars movies they put out. I understand the complaints about the newest episode being very derivative, the first couple. I get that, but something that was I still enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So as long as they just kind of keep going and build upon that, I think we're going to be okay. I'm very realistic and grounded with my expectations, I think. From what we've seen so far with the first, 2 new movies they've done, since the big takeover and everything, I think we're going to be okay. And I'm just hoping they don't try and be too witty about everything.
Right.
Mitchell. Just keep it simple, keep it Star Wars, keep it going.
Mitchell?
Well, first thing, we've all seen the pictures, and I know this is sort of going to be a little comedic, and I don't mean it to be mean, but I sort of hoping they sort of stay with the trope where second episode, somebody always loses a hand. I sort of hope Rey loses a hand.
Wow,
Minor
Rey, you're calling the shot there. Wow, okay. Rey losing a hand.
It's always the main Jedi. Or Finn. It's either going to be Finn or Rey, but odds are it's going to be Rey if someone does lose a hand. I'm hoping we get to see a little bit more Poe because he seems like an interesting character.
We realized how Poe evolved, right? The original cut of Poe was not the character we got.
Right.
Because they had to mix Poe and Wedge into one character because Dingleberry wouldn't come back to play Wedge.
Right. And I guess what Dave said pretty much too, like, just keep it simple. There can be a little bit of a twist in there if they want to, like, throw in like a small twist or like something in there, because there's obviously something going on in there we're not quite sure what's going on with, like, the Knights of Ren and all that sort of stuff. But I just really want to see how this all develops. And I'm not a super big Star Wars buff, but I sort of just want to see how this develops, and I want them to keep it good. Hoping we'll see Rey get to develop her force powers a little bit more. Figure out how they got the freaking lightsaber that fell down a vent and
into a gas giant.
Yeah.
My favorite memes are like where they show Rey handing the lightsaber over, and he was like, "There was a hand too. Do you have the hand?"
Yeah, but that's actually a call out to the original thing that brought Star Wars back. Really, the Zahn Thrawn trilogy did the same thing with bringing the original lightsaber back. So the second book, actually.
And how did the weird giant-eyed glasses lady get into possession of it? It sort of just blew that off. She's like, "That's a story for another time."
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a story for a side movie or novel, basically, is what that says.
This is I will be in the sequel. Wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge, yes.
Poke, poke.
I think that we're going to see something very different from what they did with episode 7. I think episode 8 is going to be its own beast. I think they're going to go, not make it not Star Wars, not make it not fun, but we will not see the allegory. We will not see the similarities to what's previously been done that we saw in episode 7.
Which I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with it going dark too, because
I actually sort of wanted to go a bit darker.
Red logo seems to indicate it's going there.
Yeah. I mean, Empire was not even argue. I don't know. I'm not going to say arguably.
It's
Empire was the best Star Wars ever, and it was easily the darkest and most depressing. So I'm totally cool with that happening.
Yeah. And I have this nagging feeling this is Luke's final movie.
I don't want to see that, but I think it might be.
He'll be in the last one in the form of a holocron or memories or something, but I have this nagging feeling that this might be the end of Luke's journey.
Yeah, I don't want them to do that, but they really like seem intent on just killing everybody off.
And I'm on a kind of a meta level. I'm very intrigued to see what they do with Leia.
Right. I was just thinking that, like, how are they going to kill her off screen? Like, what's going to be?
Yeah. How are they going to handle that? Or was she supposed, or is it her that's supposed to die at the end of the movie? And it I don't want to say
it's sort of sad that we won't
but
ever get to see, like, I think it's sort of sad that we won't ever get to see the book development of what happened to Leia, of her becoming a Jedi. But I mean, we saw that wasn't going to coming. I'm also sort of hoping, I didn't think of this before, but I'm sort of hoping we get to see a Mara Jade.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be funny if the thing that really broke up the Jedi was they had a falling out and broke off. That's what actually killed the Jedi. But the other thing I kind of tongue-in-cheek was saying the other day to someone was, I hope we find out that Kylo is actually a clone of Ezra Bridger.
Oh, that'd be sort of cool, actually.
That's a bit too much, but awesome.
Come on, we got to get the clones back in here somehow.
Can we get Kanan in here?
Yeah. Well, we don't know. We're coming up on the last season of Rebels. We got to
actually played by Freddie Prinze Jr.
That would be funny.
He'd actually be the right age.
That'd be awesome.
That wouldn't be bad.
I could go for that.
So that brings us to the end of the show. Would like to go ahead right now and thank all of our Patreon subscribers. Oh gosh, let's see. There's John, Bobby, Ian, Regina. What's his name? Justin. I think that's everybody. And if you'd like to support us, you can go to Patreon and look up Gamersledge and support us there. You can find what we do on YouTube, gamersledge.com, Facebook, Twitter, a bunch of other stuff. So you basically go to a thing and search for Gamersledge and see if we're doing something there. Check out our review for Avon Colony on gamersledge.com. We should be doing some more reviews in the not too distant future.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Any game developers that are out there, if you would like to shoot us a code for a game review, we'd be more than happy to work with you on that. We are multi-platform, so we do tend to skew towards PlayStation products because that's where a lot of our gaming is done in this group. But yeah, we do have we cross the boundaries, so by no means is that a limitation. Let's see what else. Final thoughts. Anybody have a final thought they would like to share?
Looking forward to Ruby Season 4. I don't know when the drop date for that is, but I'm looking forward to it. It's been going really well so far. I've liked all 3 seasons I've gone for. There have been sort of some speculation that this is probably going to be the darkest season yet, due to it being the winter season, since all of them have sort of progressively getting darker. So you've got the spring, summer, fall, and then possibly whatever's going to happen in this next season. And all of our characters have been spread apart. Well, spoiler.
Nice.
Flashing lights. But yeah, season 4 coming up, and I'm looking forward to that.
Mr. Dave?
Final thoughts. I don't know.
Whiskey's good.
Yeah, whiskey is good. I'm excited to be able to do this from the basement again soon. You're gonna love the shelving. It's all reclaimed wood. It's like 100-year-old wood.
Oh, nice.
All the shelves, like Lego, is just gonna be all over all the shelves and everything. It's awesome. I have a couple of them set up. One of them is the AT-AT shelf, which is just I have 2 AT-ATs and the Rebels Chicken Walker in the center of it, and it's a really nice look.
Nice.
So,
don't you have like 4 AT-AT models?
3.
3.
One isn't built yet.
AT-AT.
AT-AT. They're AT-ATs.
Yes, I said AT-AT for years. I didn't.
Even
I didn't know for years and years and years that it was technically AT-AT.
No, it's technically AT-AT.
What is that abbreviation for?
All-terrain attack transport.
Yeah.
I would like to give a shout out to Voltron Season 3, Voltron Legendary Defender Season 3. Very, 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 very good. It is, long story short, it's really a half season. Netflix wanted to get more Voltron out as soon as possible. So they cut the first 7 episodes of Season 3 and packaged it as Season 3. Season 4, which is really the second half of Season 3, will be out in October. So we're not having to wait long. Don't know if that means they're going to continue to try to do like quarterly releases of Voltron or what they're going to do.
Nice.
I think what they did with Season 3 was really good. Big spoiler flashing, so if you want to mute soon, flash.
Where are you going with this?
If they haven't seen the end of Season 2, there's certain things or peoples or things that might have happened. I don't want to, I was just going to say something that they did well.
All right, from 1, skip ahead 30 seconds. You'll have 30 seconds from the time I say 1 to spit out whatever it is you're going to spit out. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so I think they did Lotor really well. Is pretty much my big thing. I really liked how they did Lotor and his crew.
Okay, yep, agreed. It was very good, and it's obviously setting up for Nega Voltron. So, Okay. Dave, did you watch Voltron?
I'm still on Season 1. I didn't finish that, so it's the next one I'm going to be going to finish that stuff out.
Okay, so now that we've destroyed it for you,
No, I wasn't paying attention on purpose.
Okay, good. Sorry, I really thought you had watched it. Otherwise, I would have killed.
No, when you said spoiler, I tuned out.
Okay, all right. But yeah, that studio is nailing that modernization of that storyline, and obviously it's completely cohesive because they're not trying to mush together 3 different animes into a single story. So, all right. Well, with that, I am not going to give you a horrible punny joke. 1, because I don't want to look one up, and 2, because that's his shtick, not mine. I will leave you all with a fond farewell. Please come and join us again. Subscribe, like, forward, share. Send us questions. You can most of the reader mail we had tonight was from Facebook. You can go ahead and add comments or message us on Facebook, and we will go ahead and we will take that information and include it in a future podcast. If there's anything you would like us to talk about as a discussion topic, please go ahead, reach us out to us and let us know. Gamersledge@gmail.com is email address.
I would like to point out one thing. Mark wasn't around, and you had no breakups whatsoever on your connection. Just saying.
I've had thoughts about that, because really to do what we're doing, we need a different setup, I've been learning, than what we're doing. But neither here nor there. Either way.
That or Hangouts just works.
Hangouts works much better too. That we're not trying to Frankenstein a solution together, but
yeah.
I had a couple of points where the camera would freeze and stuff, so I was seeing you guys would stop moving for a bit, but
yeah, I mean, there's some there were little hiccups, but
I think compared to what we've been seeing.
Oh yeah, compared to what we've been having, this was
tame.
Much better. Last week too, by the way, but it was pretty solid last week too. Anyway, everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being on the cast tonight. Thank you to Kate for where she was able to participate. I know she's been working a lot, so she probably had to cut out early so she could be ready for work in the morning, because she is, minus 2 hours from me, so, or plus 2, whichever way that goes. I don't understand. 2 hours later than me is here. So,
and if you want to see more of me, make sure to let somebody know, and then
yeah. They give them free internet in college. That's kind of crazy. Wi-Fi in every room.
I even have a direct fiber wire hookup if I wanted to.
Well, you don't get fiber to the desktop, but you've got a physical connection.
Yeah, I could hook up straight to the fiber wire.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, until next week, game on.
Sure.
Goodbye.
And then you get the whoosh, whoosh, and the scroll, womp, 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 womp.
Gamersledge.